back to our channel, and today we're back with another video cast. We'll be talking about the India-Australia cricket series. So we'll talk about various different points. We have Jaydev Mehrotra, who's already featured in our videos before, and Gopal Ved, who is the main guy in series Vikas with me. So let's just start with India. Let's just start with getting Test cricket back. Watching the Indian team back playing in white colors was, I think, quite important for us cricket fans, and especially when we talk about Australia, the wickets. Just watching the matches in Australia, waking up early in the morning, is just a different feeling altogether. And how this year has been. So let's get to the talking points. So the talking points from the first match, second match, and what do we expect from the team and from the series. So first match, I think is I don't think there's any debate about the first match because
Let's talk 36.
It was
That
just
number.
depressing watching it, man. It was like watching somebody just struggling, literally.
Let's discuss the match which we won only, bro. We forget the.
no, I want to ask JD actually about the first match and why he thinks that was there a lack of concentration or was there, you know, because looking at the balls, the way I think Mayank Agarwal got a very good ball, but the other players didn't really get that good balls to get out on. I mean, it was more like giving away the wickets rather than,
Yeah, in fact, observation suggests that it was a very good wicket to bat on, and the
yeah,
conditions in the Adelaide actually seemed conducive to batting. And it was very strange and unfortunate to see such a famed batting lineup, which had done so well just 3 years ago, or 2 seasons ago actually,
yeah.
struggling like the way they did in the second innings. I mean, they squandered away such a fantastic lead that they had got earlier, which they had every opportunity. They had a good amount of time to actually build a solid lead and then put the Australians under pressure in the fourth innings. But unfortunately, either it was jitters about playing with the pink ball under lights in Adelaide, which got to them, or it was just a lack of concentration or fatigue because of the biosecure bubble. We will never know. Or maybe it was pressure because Virat Kohli was leaving after this match. So maybe the team was also under the pressure that we really need to perform because after this game he's not here. That could also be a factor. I may be wrong, but these psychological factors play a big role in how these sports persons function. So that could also be a factor, but it's all guesswork at the end of the day.
And Jaidev, that all of them got food poisoning right before they went out to play the game. So everyone was in the rush to use the loo. That's
Yeah,
खेले तो ऐसा ही
who
बच्चे खेले तो
knows?
ऐसे ही.
But also, look, there were a lot of rash shots played. Come on,
Hmm.
I mean, let's not be too harsh on anybody, but to be very honest, the backlift of some of the players, the stance of some of the players, especially the openers like Prithvi Shaw and Mayank Agarwal,
Yeah.
was very, very, very sad to see. And very, it's like a sheer, as many people have said before, it's a sheer waste of talent. And in a way, it's good that they made some changes for the Melbourne test, and obviously that did make a world of difference. Apart from obviously the conditions, the color of the ball, all these things play a big psychological factor in each of these players' minds.
No, it does actually. But in the first test, I felt when we talk about Prithvi Shaw, I think we can do a totally different video on him on how wrong and how poor his technique is. Like there's one thing called talent, and there's one thing called how you execute, you learn, and you implement that talent, right? Talent in a win. Vinod Kamli had so much of talent. We have Unmuk Chand had so much of talent, right? But they didn't
Mm-hmm.
make it big in the in the international stage, or even didn't
Mm-hmm.
play that many matches. The problem with Prithvi Shaw is, and it's quite fascinating that Ricky Ponting, when he was doing commentary in the first match, just before that ball when Prithvi Shaw got out, he said that the only problem with Prithvi Shaw is that he cannot play any ball that comes into him. He can play balls that are away from his body, and that is what happened. He said in Australian conditions where the ball is bouncy, where you have bowlers like Mitchell Stark. I think when Mitchell Stark is bowling from around the wicket, he will bowl three in swingers at least in 1 over because that's his natural, in swinging Yorker and swinging full ball. So when your backlift is coming from gully, I mean, just imagine your back lift is like this coming from gully. You don't get that much of time to get the bat, as close to the pad to play that to defend the ball. So these are basic things that so much of talent but wasting it. Even Mayank Agarwal, I think he's a totally different player to what he was when he toured Australia last time. His technique was better. I think he's overthinking a lot. He's thinking too much with his technique. It's quite simple.
Between those two openers, there are two things that your viewer would observe. One is that
Yeah,
with Prithvi Shaw, apart from what you mentioned about the backlift from Gali, the other thing with him is that there's a huge gap, as even Ricky Ponting had suggested, there's a
yeah,
huge gap between his bat and his body. And obviously, the Australians had figured it out. They're also
yeah,
smarter
yeah, yeah.
today with analytics and things like video recording and things like that. They can figure these things out. So obviously, he took advantage of it and he suffered because of it. With Mayank Agarwal, the situation is that problem here is that apparently A is that he doesn't know how to. He looks like he was having a bit of trouble leaving balls which are the corridor of uncertainty. Okay, that is one thing. And secondly, is that his stance is very wide. And a lot of
Hmm.
cricket experts have also said that having such a wide stance, especially in a place like Australia, may not always work. So these are two things which I found obviously that these two players are struggling with, which is
Aman,
a big flaw in their game.
I think if you guys follow Sachin Tendulkar on YouTube, he had a very nice comment to say on both Prithvi Shaw and Mayank Agarwal. So he said, so when somebody asked him, these guys are so talented, they made so many runs in India, and they've done well, right, in the domestic circuit.
Hmm.
So frequently they are going to Australia. How is it that that in one game they are looking like they've never played the game itself, right? Like forward defense nahi khel pa rahe. So he said one very good thing. He said it's very easy to say that they're not going forward. Yeah, their shoulder is not coming. Their back lift is a problem. The problem is in the mind, right?
Hmm.
These guys are thinking too much about what should they do and the fear. He also said that he sees that when the bowler is bowling, they have a fear of getting out. Right?
Hmm.
So when your mind is going through a lot of things, right, your footwork will never work. Right? You need to have a clear mind कि यार ये बॉल को मेरे को forward defense खेलना है या आगे रह के खेलना है. Yeah, if I have this ball, I'll go to the back foot and I'll play. Right. So your technique is also a function of your confidence. If you are very fearful in your mind and you're thinking यार अभी ये ball बाहर जाएगा ये ball अंदर जाएगा, your feet will automatically not move and you will do some stupid things. You will try to reach out for the ball or you will leave a big gap between your bat and pad. Exactly what has happened. So I think it's the mental issue. Some of these players need to sort their mental thinking that now we are at an international level, we are good, this is our plan, this is how I will play, and then have the belief in that system of playing. Right now I think these two guys, Mayank Agarwal and Prithvi Shaw, is thinking yaar abhi Australia mein aaya तो we have to change our batting altogether, right? That you can
Hmm.
never do. You can adapt, but the way they are playing ना, अभी मयंक अग्रवाल स्टार्ट बड़ा कर रहा है, right? Prithvi Shaw is looking to I don't know what he is doing, what his mental state is. So what I feel is that these players need to be confident in their own ability and at the same time clear their head कि यार I have to play one ball at a time and not be fearful कि यार I'll lose the wicket this ball,
I
I'll
think
lose the wicket.
Prithvi Shaw is still thinking that he's playing in Oval Madaan.
I don't know, and see, and on a more serious note, also a lot of these batsmen, sure, they had plenty of time to adapt to Australian conditions, but often, they are so used to playing on at the A. Let's not forget that these people are playing their first proper match since coming out of lockdown. Okay,
Yeah.
proper tour. Sorry, after coming out of
Hmm.
lockdown. I mean, IPL is not counted. Sorry to say, but
Yeah.
that's a different ball game altogether. So what's happened here is that these guys are too used to the subcontinent wickets, and here the ball doesn't bounce much. It's more
We
about
can't
turn
we
and
can't
dust
hear
balls in
Gopal.
India.
Sorry, Gopal was trying to say something. Gopal, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes.
So JD continue. Sorry. Did
So then what
JD finish?
happens is
Yeah.
that they're used to the Indian subcontinent conditions where the balls, basically spins more, doesn't really bounce, it's a complete dust bowl. You go to Australia, and both are not exactly the tallest of players. So obviously they're very fearful of the whole bounce factor as well, with these tall Australian bowlers such as Hazelwood,
Yeah,
Stark, and all steaming
but
it and
see,
bouncing the
JD,
ball.
if you want to,
So,
but see that Gautam Gambhir was not tall. He did well overseas. Virendra Sehwag, Sachin
hmm,
Tendulkar,
hmm.
these were not tall batsmen. It's about how you adapt according to the
Yeah,
situation.
of
That's
course,
where
of course.
that's that is
Hmm,
what the point Gopal was making about the mental health
hmm.
thing, which actually
Exactly.
uh, links to your point of the bio bubble, right? Which is quite fascinating. We actually judge a lot of these players looking at how they're playing and everything, but it's difficult for them also being in the bio bubble. But the main problem, what I thought about Prithvi Shaw is that he's learnt under people like Ganguly, Dravid, Ricky Ponting, now under Ravi Shastri. So these are basics that you need to improve no matter what level of cricket you're playing, right? Your backlift cannot come from there when you're playing anywhere in the world. You're getting my
Aman,
point?
you see Prithvi Shaw's uh, uh, first warm-up match innings, right?
Yeah,
Have you seen it?
yeah. The Sydney Wali, huh?
Yeah. Everything he's doing very good. He threw the wicket away again, like every
Hmm.
time, trying to. But if you look at his technique, how he was playing the faster bowlers, confident, right? Now he's thinking, "Abhi Mitchell Stark hai mere samne, so I have to." They're going in their own shell. I think that is the problem. So that is the reason why these two players are specifically apart from what you mentioned. I think it's the more mental side that is affecting them rather than is the question
Well,
about their ability.
I think they need to start
Yeah.
watching serious Bakwas videos for some fun and laughter. Then they'll be happy.
Yeah,
Chalo,
for sure.
uh,
Let's
So
move
that
on to another topic.
coming from the first test, the horrific first test, which we can actually go on and on about. Well, let's come to the second test and talk about the team setup. There were quite a few changes, and honestly, I didn't agree with the changes initially because no overseas team would play two spinners in Australia, no matter if you're a Asian team, because the conditions are not like that. But it was quite fascinating how Ajinkya Rahane said that Jadeja didn't play as Jadeja actually is a bowling all rounder, not a batting all rounder. But Jadeja's form was so good in the one day and the T20 series that he played as a batsman. He played as a batting all rounder, not a bowling all rounder. That's why he didn't bowl that many overs also. Normally he bowls more overs when he plays in the subcontinent in Test cricket. So that was in the starting. I didn't feel that was the right decision. I love Jadeja. I think he's one player who would fit into any world team right now. Right. So Jadeja inclusion was initially quite debated about that you're not playing. People said that you should play KL Rahul because he's a frontline batsman. But I think that point I want to ask JD that Rahane's captaincy comes into the picture, and it played very well because Umesh Yadav got injured in the second innings. So if we only would have had three bowlers in total because Umesh Yadav got injured, right? Because we don't have any batsman that can bowl, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Hanuman
if we
Vihari can
didn't
give
have
you
the
a
fifth bowler, you mean?
yeah.
Hmm.
So I think let's let me. I want to ask you about first of all Rahane's captaincy, which I think Mumbai would be very happy with.
For sure. See, it was,
Without Virat Kohli, without Ishant Sharma prime bowler, without
and
Mohammad
you're
Shami,
forgetting without Shami as well. Yeah, imagine
yeah,
like
and
they
even
don't have
without Rohit Sharma,
yeah, three or four key players, who you would normally
that
be
were
like your first
and these
choice
four
in the
players
11.
were instrumental when we went to Australia last time. So it makes a lot of
Yeah.
difference. They are coming from a good series, yeah. So Rahane's captaincy, I think, is a very well talked point all over the
Yeah,
internet.
so if you obviously see that this is not just because I'm being biased because he's from Bombay, but what I'm saying is that they're two completely different styles of captains. Okay, and Kohli, for example, says more like
Gopal, we can't hear you.
you can't still hear me.
No, now we can
No, no,
hear you.
it's
Beach
clear.
Beach mein
It's
we
clear.
couldn't
It's
hear you.
clear. It's
Yeah,
clear.
now we can hear you.
People are biased. They are Jaidev, so yeah, you don't need to tell us that. Heavily biased.
But so what I'm saying is, so that you see with Kohli, the whole system is different, and with him, he's more like an India face kind of captain, more aggressive. I know, like a lot of very, I would say, a little impatient as well. Like loves to chop and change all the time. While Rahane seemed to be more patient with everybody, and the whole demeanor of all the players seemed to be more calm. So
He's the best. Rahane is the best because he's the Bombay boy.
of course, Jaipur से कुछ
Some
करा दो
people
ना
straight
पहले.
away say Rahane is better than Kohli because he's very calm. He's from Bombay. He's like that. He's not aggressive.
Of
Okay,
course.
that's a separate point. Kohli and Rahane, there's no comparison. I think Rahane, I think
But
did from. Yeah, continue, JD. What were you saying?
no. So then, apart from that, what I really liked about Rahane's captaincy is that he was very clever with, first of all, his field placements were like very like specific to a plan. He didn't deviate from it. They were plotting wickets very nicely, especially like one or two, like some of the key batsmen of Australia. They really plotted their wickets well. Apart from that, Aman can actually, you can actually elaborate on this further when you comment on this. And additionally, with Rahane, what I liked was that what was very nice to see was that he led from the front with his batting performance. He had that confidence. He was one of the only batsmen actually pulling the ball. Like, you're
Hmm.
playing the pull shot. And
Yeah.
in fact, in the second innings, when they were already two down for 19, and they were chasing a small total of 70, the whole ghost of that 36 seemed to be coming back to them. But he came out, his first shot to open his account was playing a pull of, like, I think Hazelwood, if I'm not wrong, like of fast bowling. So it showed that yes, he had that intent. He looked very confident, and obviously runs off on the other players. And then when he got run out in the first innings after scoring such a good 100, uh, he made sure that Jadeja wasn't really psyched by it and did not fumble after that with guilt that I got Rahane out. So that was also a very good thing to see, and it rubs off well in the rest of the team, and we saw what happened after that.
You can write an essay na, of 2,000 words on Rahane. Why he should be the captain. And
Of
why
course. Hey
why
भाई
Kohli
2000 क्यों 5000 भी लिख दूंगा.
Yeah, I think JD, you got really interesting points.
na? Kohli scores Aman, if Kohli scores a triple hundred and if he wins in Australia, if he has a good track record, he's the best cricketer of the decade. These guys will not say anything. Right? In one test match, he's a captain and he wins. Oh man, he's the best ever. And
But after what happened in Adelaide, that was something. Okay.
so they'll point out. They'll point out. No, it's and all these Bombay people were saying, "Na Virat Kohli should get out. He's not the right captain." And now they'll
दिल्ली
say,
वाला है.
"Man is so good. Man is so good." I hate these people's hypocrisy, man, towards Kohli. And
So yeah, Rahane ka, I think one thing JD said one thing was the intent, because Rahane was not having a good series also, and he didn't have a very good IPL. He didn't play. He played really poor shots in the first test also. To come back with that determination, to show that intent that yes, I am the captain. I want to stamp my authority, and we have to win this game. Otherwise, the series will be over. It was a do or die game for India, right? And MCG Boxing Day Test match. And one interesting fact is that he also scored 100 in the last Boxing Day Test match they played. So he likes to play at the MCG. Is the one ground he always favors, right? But the way he played, he got lucky. He got dropped catches also, but I think that was one of the best innings I've seen from Rahane. I think that is his best innings, apart from Lord's also the 100 he scored.
good at MCG now for last time also and this time as well, because the wickets have been little bit on the lower side. Now, if you look at Perth, if you look at,
Yeah, yeah.
I think
MCG
Sydney,
it was a good batting wicket, no doubt about that.
And
But I mean,
additionally, if you notice, the first innings that India was batting, it was actually slightly overcast as well in Melbourne. So,
Yes,
and
yeah, it was.
it was pretty overcast. They were playing under grey skies with the red ball. So it did get a little tricky. So hats off to Jadeja and Rahane, that batter for, kind of steadying the ship. Otherwise, there would have been another collapse. And we had
No, I
another
think
repeat of what happened in
I
Adelaide.
think it shows the mentality of the group that after losing, after getting, I mean, literally getting, I don't know what the right word is to end the first test match review. If I had to give one word review, I don't know what word I can use on the internet right now. I don't think uh, I can use that word after that horrific test match to come back, to show that determination, to come back in this way and to beat Australia like that was actually an amazing thing. And you know, one thing, JD, I think you didn't point out was that first time I actually saw that the team management, the team analysts do proper research on how to get batsmen out, right?
यार
The
रवि शास्त्री ने ना दारू
Steve
पी
Smith.
मैनेज करा होगा अभी जब बजी ना तो उसने अपनी दारू साइड में रख के he did some work I think.
Steve Smith's wicket, Labuschagn's wicket, Travis Head's wicket. Like I still can't forget in the second innings when no in the second innings, yeah, in the second match. Excuse me. He got Ashwin. Ashwin got a wicket, and normally a captain would give Ashwin the next over, right? That, but he changed Ashwin and got in Siraj, and Siraj got a wicket of Travis Head because he knew Siraj can reverse swing, and Travis Head does not play well away from the body, and that's how he got out on in third gully. So very,
Someone
very smart captaincy. Your field placements very smart and very impressive. He reminded me a little of Rahul Dravid with his composure. He's also amazing slip fielder, Rahane. You know the way he.
don't comparisons by it's
No,
to
no.
Rahul legend and
Gopal,
he has
see,
done it.
I'm not. No, no. I said he reminded me of. I didn't say I'm comparing him to him. There's a difference. He
I
reminded me of
thought I
Rahul Dravid because of his composure, his temperament, and how calm he is. Right, he
yeah
reminded me
first
of a Rahul Dravid in his prime. Even the way he batted. You know, I was telling Jaydev yesterday that to be successful in Australia, England, South Africa, New Zealand in these conditions, you need to be a good hooker puller and not a hooker. Sorry, not that word. A good puller and a good cutter of the ball. And if you notice, he got 2 to 3 boundaries playing those shots. Cause Australians always do this. They will bowl full at you first. They will bowl full. They will let you play, and then they start banging in the short balls, right? Because that is what is talked about in overseas conditions. Indians cannot play the short ball. From Suresh Raina to so many players we talk about, they cannot play overseas short ball. But Rahane played it properly, right? And coming from the short ball, I want to talk about the two debutants, uh, Mohammad Siraj and Shubman Gill. And I want to say that Shubman Gill, I mean, is some player to watch for. I mean, I know
looks
he's
like
not from I know he's not from Bombay, so I don't know what JD will say about him. But
Punjab
नहीं
da
उस
Munda.
मुंबई इंडियंस की है तो फिर ये बोलेगा ही इज द बेस्ट प्लेयर
Mumbai
नहीं,
Indians, yeah. Let's
but see,
anyways, go on. Sorry.
the Rahane Kohli debate, I don't think there's any debate about it. I think Kohli deserves to be the captain. Rahane has done a splendid job. Rahane is doing well. He's done 3 matches, but I think Virat Kohli is the most successful Test captain India has ever produced. So there's no denying that fact. I know his style is not textbook. His captaincy style is different, but I always like captains. There's one reason why I used to love Saurav Ganguly because Saurav Ganguly changed the perception of Indian cricket. He used to be aggressive because Australians always used to sledge when they were playing India. When they used to come to India, also they used to sledge. Virat Kohli, I know he goes all over the board also sometimes because he has that Dilli wala aag in him. But I like the aggressiveness in his captaincy. I know he's not been successful lately. He lost the first match, and there were big question marks. But I think Rahane stepped in and he did really well. But there's been a lot of talk about taking the captaincy away from Virat Kohli, which I don't think is the right decision right now. And that I think we can make a separate video on it. I'm a Kohli fan. I'm not a very big fan of his captaincy because I come from Saurav Ganguly. I come from a MS Dhoni fan fan background because we've we've mainly seen MS Dhoni captaincy, right? MS Dhoni captaincy is very different to what Virat Kohli's captaincy is. So we'll come on to that later. Uh, I want to ask about the prediction for the third match and the fourth match, and what starting 11 do you think India should play, Jaidev, in the
Okay,
next
so
match?
see, now the third match we are moving to Sydney. There's talk
Batting
as
wicket.
there have to be a few changes given the fact that it's a batting wicket, and
Yeah.
secondly we have now lost Umesh Yadav. He's out of the tour,
Mm.
so there's going to be a bowling change as well for sure. Now coming to the batting, we have Rohit Sharma back in the squad. I mean, after his episode yesterday with the other four, hopefully that doesn't impact the team selection or anything. But I mean, all things hopefully will be fine. And given the opening combination, well, it's going to be a big toss up because we have KL Rahul waiting in the wings. And he hasn't played the first two tests. He's not yet, had been given a go. And you never know, these guys may have, and he was in red hot. I mean, again, IPL form doesn't count. He's had a tough time in the tests recently. He's not really scored very well. But
He had a
again, those were
horrific he
completely,
had a horrific England series because I was watching the match in the
yes.
stadium,
He
and he was
struggled in
very,
England,
very
but
poor. Yeah.
again, now we that's been more than a year ago. So who knows? He may have that spark and may have come back into him. So I feel that batting wise, we should obviously pursue with Shubman Gill. He looked in red hot form in Melbourne, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that he continue in Sydney. His opening partner, in my opinion, should be Rohit Sharma.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Rohit and Gill opening. Pujara cannot be dropped. Even though he's had a
Yeah.
horror run in the first two tests, you cannot drop such a player. He has to be playing at third. Now, obviously, there has been talk in the media that because Rohit Sharma has been given vice captaincy, that there's a good chance that Pujara may be dropped. If that happens, it's just the silliest call that the team management can take. Anyway, so we have Pujara coming in at three. Then we should have Rahane at four. And number five, interestingly, in my opinion, should be KR Rahul because he is pretty. Again, your opinion is naturally may differ from mine. Gopal's
Yeah.
opinion
Yeah.
may
It does.
differ from mine, but
It
I feel
does.
that he is quite. He. I mean, people may think he's only an opener, but I think he's pretty versatile that way, and he can somehow manage by coming in at five. But again, I may be wrong, and I think these two guys need to come in. But the catch here is that at the same time that I want to include Kiran Rahul in the squad, I don't want to drop someone like a Hanuma Bihari because again he also has a certain way of batting which is good at steadying the innings and playing the anchor role while somebody else plays a more attacking role. So
Yes.
that is some place where I am in a catch 22 situation. But talking, okay, now forget about that. Coming to the bowling, okay, and coming to the bowling now, I feel that T. Natarajan should be given his debut here in place of Umesh Yadav because we don't have a left arm fast bowler and he brings a lot of variety with his off cutters and his slower balls which I feel will they can make a impact on the Aussie batsmen and nobody's really played him much except for a little bit in the IPL and in the ODI series so he could be a surprise package and wicket keeping wise again this I want to have a discussion on this is that keeping wise, I know Australia, it's not like England where the ball swings like crazy, but Rishabh Pant or Ridwan Saha is still a very open-ended question. Who is a
There's
better
no.
fit?
There's no JD. There's no debate about that thing. There
What
can
do you
never be
think?
a debate about that thing because in Test match you play the better keeper, not the better batsman. And when you're playing two all
Mhm.
rounders in the team, that gives you Jadeja gives you a flamboyant batting option, right? I
Mhm.
always prefer Ridwan Saha in Test matches because
Even
and
I'm leaning
Rishabh Pant
towards it, but
and
yeah.
Rishabh Pant was very very poor keeping wise. He dropped a couple of catches also. His keeping skills are
In
he needs to
Melbourne,
really
right?
improve.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he did in Melbourne. And I was actually very surprised why Ridhaman Saha was dropped and people were saying his career is over. I think he has been a very unlucky player. I think he has it in him with the bat. He's performed endlessly for India with the bat. He's chipped in with runs when India needed them the most. Right?
And he's a
Rishabh
really,
Pant,
really good keeper.
yeah, and honestly, in Test cricket, if you see the history of Test cricket, you always play the better wicketkeeper option rather than the batsman. So I, anyways,
Mhm.
always would go for Ridhaman Saha. And bowling, what you're saying, JD?
It's
Just
So
all
coming
you
to
would say that Ridhiman Saha should definitely come back in Sydney.
see, you've completed, right? You said T Natarajan, and then obviously you have Ashwin is a self picker,
Yes,
and you
yes,
have
yes, 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 yes.
Boom Boom Bumrah also as a self picker.
That's a given.
Gopal,
Yeah.
Gopal, do you have any points to make? इसमें तेरे को क्या लगता है? Would you get
को
these
ऐसा
changes
लगता है
or?
I think playing Rohit Sharma in this test match is I don't think it's a wise option. I would go with KL Rahul, right? The reason is because Rohit Sharma is coming from a different time zone. Okay, he's quarantined. Okay, fit है नहीं है कितना I don't know, but and he has not had any warm up, right? I'm presuming net sessions भी नहीं करा है, right? So in a test match where a series can be decided, I would want somebody who is already there in Australia and has played, right? And KL Rahul, ठीक है, he's new, right? KL Rahul, मेरे हिसाब से KL Rahul and this guy, Mayank Agarwal should be given the chance at the top of the order, right?
So
Because
Shubman Gill? No,
if you
Shubman Gill.
What about Gill?
Shubman Gill, agreed, yeah, Shubman Gill also you can play, na? Why not?
So you'll play KL
I'm
Rahul
dropping
at
Prithvi
number.
Shaw.
No, Prithvi
Yeah,
Where will
Shaw.
you
I
put
no,
KL
I'm
Rahul?
No, Prithvi Shaw anyways didn't play the second match. Nah, the openers were Shubman Gill and Mayank Agarwal. So do you drop Mayank Agarwal and
oh,
get KL Rahul, or do you get KL Rahul instead of
so what
Vihari?
yeah, what I wanted to say is that instead of Rohit Sharma coming in, I would bring in KL Rahul rather than Rohit Sharma at this stage.
Okay.
Purely not the skill sense, but I think just going to Australia recently and then being quarantined and then suddenly, without any match practice and anything like that, coming into the side and facing, Mitchell Stark and Hazelwood, I won't recommend, and especially when the ball is doing a bit, right? So I think somebody who is already there, who is already accustomed to the conditions, would make a better choice. Even though it's a much riskier choice, playing KL Rahul, but I think it's the most logical choice given the circumstances that we are in.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because JD और तुम्हारी different है thinking, which is quite interesting because I actually think that रोहित शर्मा को उन्होंने बुलाया है, रोहित शर्मा की इतनी talk हो रही है, रोहित शर्मा has been good in tests for us, but it's an interesting point looking at the form where KL Rahul's form has also been good, but hands down I would play Rohit Sharma just because of his talent and quality, and I know it is a very very big risk India will take, and they are playing Rohit Sharma only because of his name. They are not playing because of his form right now, because he's come back from an injury, right? So it's very, very tricky. Like it
Yeah,
was
Raman,
tricky
it's
to play Jadeja. Like it was tricky.
difficult.
Like it was
मेरे
tricky to
ख्याल
play
से
Jadeja. Like it was tricky to play Jadeja, right? But I think Rohit Sharma is. I think Rohit Sharma can make a big difference, and Rohit Sharma can. I would open. I would my lineup. I'll tell you, and where I differentiate from JD is I would open with the Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. That's a hands down Shubman Gill. One down, I would have obviously Cheteshwar Pujara. If India drops Cheteshwar Pujara, I will not even watch the Test match because I think that'll be an insult to Indian cricket and that'll be an insult to Test cricket and Pujara for the service he's given to the country, right? And he was one of the reasons we won the series last time. So if they
Definitely.
drop him, they've dropped him they didn't play him at Lords also in the 2018 England series, which was shocking. I don't know which drink Ravi Shastri had last night before making the decision. I have no idea. I would have Pujara one down. I would have Rahane two down. I would have Hanuma Vihari without a feather of doubt. And the main reason why, JD, I will tell you, and I can convince you why we should play Vihari is because Vihari is more the temperament of Vihari is much better than KL Rahul. Vihari comes in always when 3 or 4 wickets are down. The team is under pressure. Even the partnership he had in the first innings with Rahane. If India would have lost a wicket, Rahane would not have been able to score that 100. People don't realize. People
No
only
way.
see the scores, right? People He does what Lakshman used to do for India. And I'm just saying, I'm not comparing him to Lakshman, but they come at a very, very difficult time, difficult phase of the match. So Vihari, just because of his temperament, and Vihari can hold one end. And when you have your non-striker holding an end, it is easy for the other batsman to accelerate and to play his natural game. Right, JD, you were also pointing that point. I would play that. Ravindra Jadeja, I would play because Sydney, the ball turns better than MCG, and the fourth innings becomes very, very crucial. Third innings, the ball turns also. Ashwin is sure shot selection. I think Ashwin is one of the greatest spinners India have had, and I don't know why he's been made into only a test bowler, which I think
And he's bowling beautifully.
यार
only
मेरे हिसाब
Kohli,
से
only Kohli and Ravi Shastri can answer that question. Why Ashwin is not playing in T20 internationals for India and one day international. Then you have Jadeja, Ashwin are sure shot. You have Jasprit Bumrah. I'm a big fan. Jasprit Bumrah, and who did I miss? Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, yes. And I agree with JD. I would play T Natarajan because he gives the left arm option. And the best thing is most of the Australian batsmen didn't play the IPL, so they've not played him, right? They've like
Correct.
playing him in white ball cricket is very different to playing him in red ball cricket, right? And the natural action he has, I think he will be very, very crucial for India if he plays. And I would anyways play him. I would anyways play him above Navdeep Saini because I think Saini is a very erratic bowler. He reminds me of a younger version of Umesh Yadav. When Umesh Yadav came into the scene, he used to be very erratic and bowl wides and all. So yeah, that would be, I think, my starting 11, and it's quite interesting. We all three of us have different opinions about the starting 11, and I think even Ravi Shastri always has a different opinion. It depends on which single malt he's having before deciding the team, and obviously, so I want score predictions, series predictions. JD, go for it. Formats, test series, score
मेरे
predictions. It's 1-1.
next test match I still haven't made up my mind because I think both the teams are still. I cannot say confidently that this team will win because uh, actually both the teams have issues with their batting. Right? Even in this test match, except Rahane, I didn't saw anybody performing well or trying to do well except Jadeja
But even
and Rahane.
Australia are not
So
doing
yeah,
well. Steve Smith has not done well. Labuschagne has just made.
what I'm saying is they will
Steve
come
Smith's
back
having a
hard,
horror
right?
run.
JD, your voice is
So
breaking.
my after this test match, which is the Sydney
Yeah,
test,
I can't
I
hear
think
you.
I'll be all the series, but I feel India still has a better chance because purely because we are playing better, batting better than Australia.
So, what's your score prediction? Series prediction.
Uh, यार मेरे को लगता है this will be a draw, third Sydney test, and the last test India will win.
So,
So I
2-1
think
to India.
2-1 to India.
Okay. JD, your prediction? ये तो अटक गया है, and we also have a lot of IT issues क्योंकि इंटरनेट तो जियो अंबानी ने लगा दिया इसके घर में. He lives in Marine Drive. Anyone wants to go see facing house, beautiful place, right next to Intercontinental Hotel.
Fiber net
JD, we can't hear you.
आ गया.
I think
I'm back. I'm back.
yeah, I just want
Okay.
your final thoughts, final prediction.
Our final thoughts. I
Series.
think next match, what's going to happen is that Steve Smith had a horror run. The first two games
He'll go
he's
mad.
played really
He'll go
badly.
berserk now.
He is going to go hammer and tongs, and mind you, SCG is his home ground, so he's
Yeah,
going to take
yeah.
off for sure. And there are rumors that even if David Warner's not 100% fit, they're going to play him because they are that desperate. So it's going to be
Yeah.
a tough fight. I'm hoping it's India wins, obviously, but I feel what's going to happen is if not Australia winning, we're going to have a draw. And then the fight is going to be taken to Gabba and Brisbane. That's what I feel is going to happen because Australia won't give up so easily. So I think it's going to
Yeah.
be like it'll be a draw in the next game, and then it's going to be a fight for the series in the
So
next
your score prediction
the
is
Gabba test to be a decider.
series
For
prediction.
so series prediction, I'm hoping India wins 2-1. It'll be 2-1, but they'll win it hopefully in Gabba, which is normally like a graveyard for them because they've never really done well there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping it's 2-1 in India's favor in Gabba, but we never know. Yeah, you never know. This Australian team is really unpredictable.
I think Steve Smith will go berserk, and I'm telling you, it's my prediction, which my prediction was before the second test also, that Rahane will score a century. Pujara will score a century in this match, and if he plays, I hope he plays.
Oh yeah.
He'll
Yes,
score a
it
century. Steve Smith will 110% score a century. You can put money on that. And my
Mhm.
prediction is it will either be 2-all, where Australia will maybe win the Sydney Test and India will bounce back and win at Gabba, or I think the
Mhm.
series goes to 2-1 to India. And I think India has to win Sydney Test match because Gabba record is not good. So if India wants to retain
Yeah.
the Border Gavaskar series, they have to win at Sydney. That's what I
Oh,
feel.
of course.
So I'm inclining more for I 40% of my mind says it will be 2-all the test series, and 60% says it'll be 2-1 to India, with India winning preferably in Sydney and the Gabba test match heading into a draw. ड्रॉ देख जेडी ड्रॉ गोपाल ड्रॉ तभी होता है जब दोनों टीम बैटिंग में 350 रन से तो ज्यादा मारे ना, वो मार ही नहीं रहे. सो ड्रॉ होना बड़ा मुश्किल
Hmm.
है ना?
But I
That's
think
the
Yeah,
thing.
because
Sydney is always a batting paradise, so that's why I'm thinking this
It can be a draw also. But thank you guys.
yeah, you
Thank you,
never
JD,
know.
for joining us. Thank you,
Thank you so
Gopal.
much
And
for
it's been a
having me.
lovely discussion, guys. Please put your comments, and we talk carefree. And we're not experts, but we talk. We give you fan views, which I think is very important in this day and age. And as I said, Marine Drive House, Podar House is always open for anyone who wants to go. It's right next to Intercontinental Hotel, opposite Marine Drive. When you open the window, you see Marine Drive, or you see people sitting at Marine Drive making out or hitting each other. So all sorts of things you can see there. So I'm just kidding. It's not open. It's not open for public. The house, it's only open for friends. So jokes apart, thank you for joining us. And thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And please send us more ideas. And if you want to join the video cast, you can just put in the comment section. And please subscribe to the channel. And hope India wins. Jai Mata Di, Jai Hindustan.